We'll go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody. I'm Margaret Fire-Robin. I am mayor of Bristol, Tennessee, but I do, most of my time is spent doing nonprofits, working with a lot of different groups and agencies. And that's my role that I'm here today primarily. I could stand out of the way, y'all. We are being filmed for the Bristol, Tennessee City TV channel, so where I stand might be a little different than I would if we weren't being filmed. Anyway, want to welcome y'all. This is the second meeting on this day center today, and we're really excited y'all are here. Wanted to just let you know that at noon today we had about 70 people, had to add chairs, so we are thrilled with the interest and the turnout for this topic. So very pleased to have you here. And I'm supposed to give a little bit of an introduction or overview of the process of this day center task force and proposal. Homelessness has been addressed in our community in many ways over forever. It comes and goes for how much emphasis we give to it. We have talked about day center in the past, but this most recent effort has been going on for the last year.
Oh, more than
2 years.
2 years.
And one of the reasons why we're looking at a day center is that we have services for folks who are homeless, but in our Bristol community, we do not have places where a lot of people can take showers, where they can do laundry. We have some services that provide some of that, but not everybody qualifies. So having available space where people can access some of those resources, and also we'll learn more about some of the resources that people who are homeless need. This most recent effort came about through this public library here, and welcome to the library. Amy Kamani's not here, but you are. So we have a library staff person from the Creative Learning Center. So the library did strategic planning, and part of what the library sees on a daily basis is it's a warm, safe place, and there are quite a few people who are homeless who spend time here in the library. But the library is not prepared with the services that need to be offered. So the library has taken great interest in seeing what can we do as a community to meet more of those needs of folks who are homeless. So in that strategic planning, out of that came a task force. That strategic planning was helped by Summit Companies, and Roger Leonard helped with the library and has helped with this process with the Day Center Task Force. So we've been working hard, produced the document that has a whole lot of information. And we're hoping to be able to offer more of the services that help people transition out of poverty if they're able to. Also services that help point people to things that can meet their needs and address that. So I think with that, I will turn it over to Christina Blevins. And she is with the City Community Development Specialist, and she'll take it from here.
Thanks, Margaret. She was pretty brief this time around, right?
Yeah.
No, just kidding. So my name is Christina Blevins. I'm the Community Development Specialist for the City of Bristol, Tennessee, and I am here to talk to you today about the business and social case for the Bristol Day Center. I just want to echo what Margaret says. Thank you for being here, and your presence is greatly important to us. So there's no question that everybody in this room believes that Bristol is a good place to live, right?
Right.
Actually, we believe that it's a great place to live. It's a great place to live. And, you know, being a great place to live, we have a very giving and loving community. You will not go hungry in Bristol. If you do, it's really ultimately your own fault, because there's everybody in here from restaurants to food pantries to just people in homes who are feeding people constantly. But having such a caring community doesn't solve the real problem. It might help for a short period of time, it might help for a couple of nights, a month, a quarter, but ultimately it does not solve those real problems. So downtown has seen an increase in homeless activity, and people are talking about it, and leaders are listening. Many in this room have been asked to help find a solution to that problem. So, I ask you, is there a real solution to homelessness? Are we going to be able to end homelessness altogether with this potential day center? No. So, the Day Center Working Group has looked at other communities. We have toured Johnson City and Kingsport, and we have talked with what they are doing with their homeless population. And we feel that the Day Center is by far the best way to serve. The Day Center will bring together various service providers to offer integrated, holistic services that will help people get off the streets and into a structured environment that's more appropriate, or that appropriately serves their unique circumstances. So currently, this beautiful library that is shared by both the city of Bristol, Virginia and the city of Bristol, Tennessee, has turned into our quote-quote day center. And the library and downtown Bristol are really not equipped, nor have the staff trained to provide proper services for this population. There are Bristol residents who choose not to patronize our library because of either real or perceived safety concerns and issues associated with homeless persons that are here. Now I want to share a couple of quotes from our Day Center proposal that you guys have. Bristol's homeless population is comparable to other cities in our region, but I do believe our homeless population appears larger due to our community size. Currently, downtown Bristol is the catalyst for homeless activity. Second one. Downtown Bristol is the heart of our community where we all come together to gather and celebrate. But the homeless problem is making it very difficult to continue to revitalize downtown. Customers to our small businesses are being harassed with aggressive panhandling on a daily basis. Bristol's Main Street program stakeholders and merchants continue to identify ways to improve our town's economic vitality with a considerable amount of time and effort, but it stands to reason that some of these efforts are hampered by the continued presence of the chronically unemployed, homeless, and transient population. Is this how we want our downtown and our library to be known? No, right? So the social case for the Bristol Day Center. Many of us know that we are only one incident, one accident, one medical problem, one job away from possibly being on the streets ourselves. And a lot of these people, not everyone has a safety net like many of us have. Parents who pay for school and loving family. And that support was just not there for them, for whatever reason. So with that, poor health issues can cause homelessness when people have insufficient income to afford housing. This may be the result of being unable to work or becoming bankrupted by medical bills. Living on the streets can exacerbate existing health problems and cause new ones. Chronic disease such as hypertension, asthma, diabetes, mental health problems, and other ongoing conditions are difficult to manage under the stress of homelessness and may worsen. Can you imagine being homeless and having all these things that are wrong with you? Medications to manage health conditions are often stolen, lost, or compromised due to rain or heat and other factors. The cycle of intergenerational poverty must be broken whenever possible to reduce both the human and economic costs. the good news is there are significant people working hard to reduce homelessness and working together, such as the State Center Working Group. Some of the agencies you see up here, but we include United Way, Haven of Rest, Salvation Army, Family Promise of Bristol, Abuse Alternatives, YMCA, YWCA, Boys and Girls Club, Jobs for Life, Cross Married Medical Mission. Is everybody else up here? Okay, the cities, obviously. And wouldn't it be nice if there were a centralized location for all these services where somebody can go and not be sent all over town? So I'm going to give you a challenge. The second page of your paper there, actually, be thinking of ways to encourage the use of the day center and maybe locations, anything that you have for us, we are grateful to listen. So with that, I'm going to have Ellen Tolton come up and do her section. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. So in order to assist the homeless patrons in the most efficient way, we need first to identify some of the most common reasons for their current situations. The majority of the folks we observe living on the streets in Bristol and staying at the Salvation Army or Haven of Rest did not make a mindful choice to become homeless. Some may be low intellectually functioning or have behavioral issues or trauma-related disorders with no one to take responsibility for them. Many have substance abuse disorders and have no idea how to break the cycle. But they are part of our community, and we need to identify ways to improve their lives and, best case scenario for maybe a few, help them become more self-sufficient. And although everyone has their individual story, there are 4 commonly known types of homelessness. They're listed up here. The first is chronic, which is long-lasting. Usually it's an older population, and they're usually disabled. This is the least common type, but it's the most difficult to serve due to limited resources. The most common type is transitional, and this is people who stay sheltered just for a short period of time, usually maybe up to 1 month. This is usually due to a catastrophic event. It's usually younger people. They could be aging out foster kids, people evicted from a residence, or a loss of job. There's also episodic homelessness. These folks continually go in and out of homelessness. They're typically younger and become homeless due to reoccurring conditions: abuse, frequent unemployment, addiction, mental illness, or medical problems. And then there's lifestyle homelessness. Some people simply choose the lifestyle. There's no structure or responsibility. Some enjoy traveling to different locations. It's just a way of life for them. So there are certain challenges that face the homeless. Most of these revolve around employment or lack of, but it's a lack of a job at a living wage. Many homeless were previously incarcerated and have difficulty finding employment because of that. Some don't have the necessary documentation for jobs and homes: licenses, birth certificates, social security cards, even addresses and phone numbers. Affordable transportation is also a big challenge for them, as is lack of affordable housing. There's also lack of health care, mental health, and substance abuse challenges. They have a hard time availing themselves of those. And there can also be life occurrences: loss of a loved one, such as a parent or spouse, job loss, or divorce. So let me tell you a little bit about Bristol's homeless population. Combined, both Tennessee and Virginia, the city of Bristol counted 105 homeless persons last year. Most of these providing homeless assistance, most of those providing homeless assistance concede that this number is significantly understated. This number comes from the annual point in time count, which is mandated by HUD and occurs during a 24-hour period, usually around the 20th of January. This count is usually conducted by Arch and People Incorporated. Some of the statistics that were received from this count: 14.2% were chronically homeless, 17.6% were veterans, 58%, which is more than half, were under the age of 18. Another interesting side note is females were more likely to be in transitional housing, and males were more likely to be in the emergency shelters. Community members agree that even agree that even while economic factors play a major role in homelessness, mental illness and addiction are the most common factors observed. There's another observation. Most of the older folks, 40 and above, are usually from within the community. The younger homeless tend to be from other places and more frequently suffer from addiction. The youngest are often victims of economic hardship or intergenerational poverty. One of the most glaring and I feel important insights that came about with this study is the following. There is currently no deliberate and/or systematic mechanism in place to identify and link homeless persons with existing resources. And as Christina mentioned, we have existing resources, but there is no method in place to connect those resources to the people that really need them. These include medical and mental health, financial, and employment assistance in the city. So this is where the Bristol Day Center comes in. The Bristol Day Center will not only provide shelter with warmth in the winter and air conditioning in the summer, it will be a centralized location to offer the many services that are already available through partners in the city. The idea is to begin with essential services and add more as the need is identified. In addition to having a day shelter with access to personal amenities such as bathrooms, showers, and laundry, essential services will include case management, which will be optional to the patrons, medical health services, behavioral health services, transportation assistance, and resource referrals. Thank you. So at this time, I would like to introduce Lisa Kofer, who is Executive Director for the United Way of Bristol. Lisa is going to serve as our panel moderator for today's forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I think everybody knows we had another one of these today at noon. Went really, really well, and so we're so thankful that you all came tonight. The first thing that I'd like to do is introduce our guest panelists today, some really wonderful people that will be able to share some information. First, we have Chief John Austin, who is the police chief for the city of Bristol, Virginia. We're so thankful for what you do for us, John. Shatana Williams. Shatana is the case manager for our Family Promise of Bristol program, which is our program that works with homeless families with children. Brian Plank, who's the executive director for the Haven of Rest Rescue Mission. And Brian, thank you for all that you do. Thank you. Cindy Rocket. Cindy is the executive director for Crossroads Medical Mission, and I can't say enough about what they do. Thank you. And my dear friend Lynn Pinnell, who is in charge of our Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator. Thank you. Our Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator for Bristol Redevelopment Housing Authority. And wow, Lynn, your program is amazing. So thank you all so much for being here. What we'd like to do, we have a question that we're going to ask each one of these folks to answer to you all. If you have questions or think of questions as we go along, please hold those thoughts. We have notepads and paper over there, notepads and pens over there. If you need something, Christina or Ellen can bring that to you. You can quickly grab one, just jot it down. Then once we finish with these questions, we're going to open it up for questions from the audience, okay? Thank you all so much. Okay, Chief Austin, do you see homelessness as a safety issue for the city of Bristol? Why or why not?
And my answer to that question is no, as a safety issue. Just because they are homeless doesn't make them become a safety issue for the city. It does create some other issues, but as far as a safety issue, my answer to that is no, because we answer the same type calls as we do with the homeless in a more the homeless is more congested in the condensed area downtown, but the calls we answer there are considered more of a disruptive call. For example, people blocking the entrance ways to people's businesses or hanging outside or intoxicated. That type issue is what we deal a whole lot with. But we deal with the same calls and issues all over the city as we do with the homeless. So I don't think the homeless is any more of a safety issue than it is with anybody else. We do see a change in the demographics of the homeless, that there are more younger people, as they were stating earlier. And with that, part of that comes with some of the addictions or, dealing with some of the meth and stuff that we have to deal with. But again, that's all over the city. Actually, it's all over our country that we were dealing with the meth issues. But the answer to that, in my opinion, is no.
Thank you, John. Shatana, what do you see as the reasons these folks are homeless, and what might be the key or the most prevalent reasons be?
Okay. In my experience in working with the homeless population, I've encountered many reasons as to why they are homeless. It does seem like with the older generation, it's due to disabilities that prevent them from being able to work. And of course, if they don't have a job, it's hard to get insurance and documentation so that they can get Social Security disability income. That process can be a 2 to 3 year process. Also, I see a lot of people with evictions, not having a living wage and not being able to afford all the deposits and rent and maintain that because a lot of the jobs are part-time. I see a lot of the population being undereducated, maybe not even having a GED. So they're unable to keep up with the workforce. The younger generation of homeless, it does seem to be that there's more drug use, opiates, methamphetamines, different things like that, untreated alcohol, and drug addictions that lead them into the legal involvement, which in turn causes them to be denied for housing. And then one of the other major factors I feel like is limited transportation in the area. It's harder for the homeless to get to those job interviews, health appointments, housing agencies, mental health care, medical care. And I do feel like there's a real strong disconnect between housing costs and income. And people, who are homeless with limited or no work history, that prevents them from being able to afford housing. So it's a combination of several factors, and I do feel like a lot of it is transportation and being disabled and not able to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Shatana. Brian, do you think the homeless population in Bristol has increased in the last 5 to 10 years?
All right. First of all, I just talked to a lot of my fellow panelists today and realized how many years everybody has in the business. I've only been doing this for about 3 years. It's been pretty intense learning, but I stand in awe of what these folks have done. As far as the information that I have towards the count of homeless in our area, a lot of it is anecdotal. Only having been in the business for 3 years, it's hard for me to go back, but I have talked to a lot of the people in the area, such as Arch, who conduct the pit count. If you look at what the pit count does, it's a one-day type of count, and it takes into account only those people who are in shelters or who are on the street. And so it's a situation that if you look at some of the broader definitions of homelessness, you're looking at people who couch surf with friends or other people. They don't have their own place or anything like that. So, number one, the problem is a lot bigger than what is actually picked up in the pit count. It's a situation that the people that I talk to, while the pit count has stayed relatively stable through the years, what you're seeing on the street on a day-to-day basis is a growing population. I don't think it's growing exponentially or anything like that, but it is more than it has been in prior years. As Chief Austin said a few moments ago, the demographic is changing. We're seeing a lot of people with mental health issues. We are seeing that younger population. We are seeing the fact that there's a lot more drug use that's leading to homelessness at this point. So from that standpoint, there are a lot more people than there have been in prior years. And it's creating quite a challenge for the shelters at this point. We have probably about 55 people, I think, under roof tonight. It may go a little bit higher than that as people check in. But we're just kind of the tip of the iceberg when you think about the people who are out in camps that don't come in, and then those other people who are involved in just couch surfing or things like that at this point. So we are seeing an increase, and that's one of the reasons why this day center is so important, because we have to find a way to think forward as a city and make sure we start to address the problem before it really gets out of control.
One of the things too, and I meant to mention this in our meeting earlier today, that I think impacts that point in time count is the time of year that's done.
Oh, absolutely.
And that is my understanding, it's mandated by HUD when it is done. Well, it's done in some of the coldest times, January 28th, and how appropriate that today is as cold as it is, and we're here to talk about this. But, you know, I think there are a lot of folks that are couch surfing that normally, if it's warmer months, wouldn't be, that we could
Right.
actually count.
Absolutely true.
And so I think that makes a huge difference in the numbers that we're able to come up with. It's simply a snapshot. Thank you, Brian. Cindy Rocket, in your personal and professional life, please explain how you interact with the homeless population on a daily, weekly, annual basis. Share some of the things you did today, please.
Hi, so I'm Cindy Rocket, and I'm the Executive Director of Crossroads Medical Mission. And we're a mobile medical clinic, and we provide the services of family practice physicians and nurse practitioners, and don't charge for our services. We try to help folks who are uninsured, low income. We work with other outreach ministries, and so we do see a number of folks who are homeless. But I want to share one incident with you. Crossroads, even though we're a little don't charge patients little mobile medical clinic, we're so excited because we just got a new electronic medical record system. And one of our partnership sites, not in Bristol, but one of our partnership sites that we go to is we partner with a church, and that church is very close to some transitional housing. So folks who have just gotten out of being incarcerated are in that transitional housing, and they come to Crossroads when we're in town for their medical care, and we help to get them their medications. And anyhow, Cindy Rocket, all excited. We just got this new electronic medical record system. It's so cool. And it has the ability for us to take pictures and have pictures, little itty bitty thumbnails of our patients in our electronic medical record system. So when we pop up your record, there's your sunny little face, and it makes us feel like we have a friend. We're talking to a friend. We know who you are. This is great. So we're at this partnership site, and it's the partnership site that has the folks who have just been incarcerated, and they're trying to transition back into the real world, and there's a good likelihood that they may become homeless themselves if that transition is just too difficult. So electronic medical records, they were new, and I was so excited and probably obnoxious. And I'm saying, oh, can we take your picture? We've got this new electronic medical record system. We'll take your picture. It pops up a little thumbnail of you. We'll know who you are. It's great. And so I asked everybody. Everyone was so kind, and they all allowed us to take their pictures, and I was so excited, and I said, this is so wonderful. I said, everybody has agreed to let me take their picture. I thought for sure somebody would say, oh no, we're running from the law. Joke, haha. And the guy I said it to said, ma'am, the law already caught us. So anyhow, we deal with all kinds of people, but that's just it. These are individual people. They are people who have fallen on hard times, people who are in difficult circumstances. They're individuals who need to find the trust in what we have to offer, trust in us as individuals, trust in the city. We need to provide that for them. So Crossroads Medical Mission had already been thinking about having more of a presence in downtown Bristol when the day center idea started percolating. And so it seems like a perfect fit that we would be able to come downtown, offer our services on a more frequent basis, and be able to help even more people than we already do in downtown Bristol. And so professionally, I get recharged every time I come to a clinic and I meet the individuals that we serve, And it reminds me they're not statistics, they are individuals, and they are, some of them fabulous, some of them stinkers, and they're all God's children, and we're glad to help them out. But the other part of that question is personally. How do I interact with the homeless on a personal basis? I have a family member who would fall under the transitionally homeless. And this family member fights addiction, and my family member comes in and out of homelessness. He has stayed at the Haven of Rest, didn't play by their rules, was no longer welcome at the Haven of Rest. He's been to the Salvation Army. He's been a Crossroads Medical Mission patient. He has, he probably even knows you. Anyhow, this family member, when he's homeless, hangs out here at the library. But I'm here to tell you, if you met my family member, you would not know that he's homeless. He does not fit the picture you probably have in your mind. He's clean cut, he's handsome, he dresses well, he speaks well, he's well educated, but he fights addiction. Right now he's in a supportive housing program, not in Bristol, but he's doing great because he has learned to trust the people in that program. He has people who are helping to guide him on a daily basis, which is, I believe, exactly what the Bristol Day Center would be able to offer. We would end up forging relationships with the people who would come to the Day Center, and as they would learn to trust us, then they would choose to take advantage of the different services that we have to offer. And so it's just going to be a wonderful program. Bristol is such an awesome community that is so willing to help the folks that are here on hard times, on good times, but it could only make Bristol better.
Thank you, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And last, but certainly not least, Lynn Pennell, what do you think of the Day Center idea as it is currently presented, and anything positive or negative that you would like to share? Please share.
I'm Lynn Nell, and I'm the Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator for the Bristol Redevelopment Housing Authority. And I love what everyone has said. Bristol is a great place to live. I'm not originally from Bristol. We've lived here almost 20 years. We've raised our children here, and we have come to love this community. We've just enjoyed the support and the encouragement that we have found from people here, groups that we've been involved with, people in this room that have just poured into our family and just have been such a blessing. We are so grateful. And so I know what encouragement is around here, and I know what can happen, and I'm so grateful for the people that care about our friends who are homeless and have thought to put something like this together. The Day Center, as it stands now, will be a place where our friends can come in and get warm in the winter, cool in the summer, a place where they can wash their clothes, a place where they can take a shower, a place where they can be and be comfortable and be safe and feel like they belong. Now, are they going to want to come initially? Probably not. I think we're going to open our doors, and I think we're going to sit there on the first day and go, wow, what a great job we've done in this place. and we may not have anyone come in. But as they see what we are about, and as we form relationships there and they grow to trust us, I think they will come. I think they will appreciate part of what they know here at the library is that they can be and that they can enjoy. They can charge their phones. They can use the computer if they want to, and they do. For housing applications, for job applications, for an assortment of things, they do use the resources here. Those things will be available at the Day Center as well. And we'll have water for them, or a glass of tea, or a snack, or something, so that they're able to just enjoy and to be somewhere safe. I can't imagine coming out in the morning, and I love the Haven of Rest, and the Salvation Army is so appreciative for the service they provide, but they have to leave in the morning. And they can come back in the evening, but what do you do all day? So when we're able to have this safe space for them to identify, then our friends there can thrive on that. And then with the case management component, and I did put that down under a positive and a negative. I love case management, do it every day. And I see the value in that. And I think that is definitely a plus when we can help to connect our friends with the services that will help them to grow and to become more stable and to be self-sufficient. I have to love that word too. And so when we're able to connect them to those services, and we have a vast assortment of services in our community, I know that's been said before, I cannot emphasize that enough. We have such supportive services, agencies that work so well together to help and support each other, both professionally and those that we serve, that I know what a difference that can make in their lives, and I'm happy to be able to encourage that. And I think the case management there will connect them with services, with medication, with health care, with other situations, certainly with housing, helping them to fill out that application and all of that to help them to become stable. And there are some, we've talked about the different kinds of attitudes that our friends who are homeless have. Some of that is some people like it, but do they like it because they really, really like it, or have they been there so long that that's where they're comfortable? Do they really want to move towards stability? If that's the case, then I think we need to love on them, support them, lift them up, and help them to do that. And this day center can provide opportunity for that. Some people are going to run, they'll go, I don't want case management, I don't want you in my business, I just want to drink my glass of water here and be happy. Okay, and that'll be fine, but as they learn to trust us, those attitudes may change too. So while case management is the answer for some and they're encouraged by that, others will not be. And that's okay. We'll help when we can, love on them when we can, and just encourage them that way. So there's a lot of things that we will offer at the day center, and those things will grow. We were probably not going to have mental health services at the beginning, but as we see the need for certain things to grow, we have partners who are willing to come on board to offer those services, to be there when we need those. So we're hoping that we'll be able to add the mental health, maybe even the Crossroads Medical, even though they're willing to be there from the beginning. And they've been part of our community for so long that a lot of our friends who are homeless have that relationship with them already. They trust them, they're there. But there may be expanded medical situations or needs that we'll be able to help them to make those connections with and to see. So I think overall, we will see our friends who are homeless be more stable, be happier, certainly be healthier and more productive, and that will just make Bristol an even better place to live.
Thank you, Lynn. One of the things that I think a lot of folks in our community don't realize is we don't have case management services available for just anyone. We have wonderful case management for, folks that are staying at the Haven of Rest, or folks at the Salvation Army, or folks that need help through Bristol Faith in Action. But if you've got somebody who is homeless or getting ready to be evicted and they're not trying to get help with rent or utilities, or they're not already out on the street, where do they go to get that? United Way doesn't do case management, but we end up doing case management because they don't have a place else to go, and that's fine with us. So, to be able to have the day center and to have that case management component, it'll primarily be for our homeless population, but we're hoping that there'll be other folks that we can intervene with, that keep them from being evicted and that kind of thing.